kiss you.
After that Universal era, we get the atomic age. Once the nuclear bomb existed, that's what people's fears were focused on, and that's what the movie industry focused on. Giant bugs, giant ants, and all things of that nature until 1958 with Horror of Dracula. And it's funny, I was just thinking about this right before we got rolling, but what this is, it's like the remake era of the 2000s. They remake all those famous, just like remaking all the slashers from the 80s and the 2000s. They remake all the classic monster movies, but a little bit more grounded, a little bit more believable, higher production value. Christopher Lee, of course, starring in this one, along with Peter Cushing. I fucking love this movie, man. I saw it a few years ago for the first time. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I watched it 2 weeks ago when I knew we were going to do it, and I was going to make you guys watch it. And I was like, oh, fuck. I hope they don't hate me. I don't know why. It was just like so slow to me and dry. And then I watched it again last night. I fucking loved it. I loved it. After watching Nosferatu, the original and the remake, and then watching Dracula 1931, and then going back to this. And I just think like Christopher Lee is great. Peter Cushing is great. The story is so tight. They cut out a ton of shit, but they twist some things around. And I really love what they do with Jonathan Harker, where he's like an agent. He's like an agent of Van Helsing. Once he gets there, it's like, and I'm here to kill Count Dracula.
I love that. I love the moment in the diary, like where he kind of lulls you to sleep, and then like he's finally. I love like Dracula comes to make sure, and like when Dracula's walking away, he's just like watching him the whole time, like all suspect. I'm like, oh shit, what's going on here? And then like, yeah, he delivers that line.
Dun, dun, dun. I almost hit you guys up last night. I didn't know if you guys had seen it yet, but I had heard when they did the score, which I fucking love. Dun, dun,
so
dun.
good.
What he's thinking in his mind there is Dracula.
Ooh,
so so the whole movie, you're like, Dracula. Fuck yeah. It adds a lot to it when you're thinking of it like that.
It's so good because with this genre and this, it's particularly like vampires and stuff like that, you're so used to like dreading like dreadful strings and the orchestra stuff like that. I love how there's like so much like bombastic horns in this one, but it works, man. Like they really pull it off.
Crazy.
It's not a score you would expect or think would be attached to a horror movie or a vampire movie, but it's excellent. It really works.
Bro, man, I'm dying to know, man. My brother Link, what did you think? Horror of Dracula, 1958, first watch.
I liked it. These were, like you said, these were very similar movies. I think they improved. Like this, there's more meat to the story, better performances. I will say that, Bela Lugosi is iconic, but Christopher Lee, he was just as cool. Like he had a presence to him, but I found him to be like more charming. Like he could talk to people easier, I guess. It's like that. That's how Bela Lugosi is more of like a sophisticated, mysterious. Like he's gonna woo you with that. Christopher Lee is like he just could charm you. He could talk you out of your socks type of shit.
You know what the big difference for me is, or the scene that really illustrates that, is when he sees Lucy. Because that's one thing that they do that freaking annoys me in this movie. They switch Lucy and Mina's characters. So Jonathan is with Lucy just to confuse the shit out of everyone. But like when he sees her picture, he's like, charming. You're a very lucky man. When usually it's like this really creepy scene where I'm leering at your lady. But yeah, Christopher Lee is like, oh, that's nice.
It's so subtle and good. Yeah,
he doesn't give a shit. Like originally I'm like, oh, look at how much he's hiding his obsession with her. But really, like when I paid attention to the story, he only came after her as revenge.
Yeah,
it's because Harker killed his woman that he had, so he's going to take his woman. It's like, oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
And I thought that was like a cool little twist in the plot. Like it's kind of like it's revenge. It gives a reason for him to be out and about and things. Like he was just kind of chilling until you guys came in my home.
Right. That's a good point.
Liked Van Helsing in this one a lot more. The other dude was stiff, but he had his moments. This is a Van Helsing. I was just like, I could see him being Hugh Jackman when he in his younger years taking care of shit.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I love what they do, like structurally with him too, where they kill. I think it's another really good choice in this one. Kill Jonathan, clean him up, get him out of the fucking story, so we don't have to worry about why is he, why is his character like devolves so much throughout the story, or is not as important by the end of it. Kill him, get him out of the way, and now it's Van Helsing's story. 24 minutes into it, that's one of my favorite things about the script. Robbie says, "Watch The Vampire Lovers, great vampire film, very sexy indeed, dude. I love the follow up to this is Brides of Dracula with no Christopher Lee, but it does have Peter Cushing in it, and I think I might like that even more. That movie's awesome, super badass movie. And then they did just because I have this and I can show it off. The real sequel to this one, which doesn't have Peter Cushing, is Dracula Prince of Darkness that came out 1966. It's a lot like this could be on our Road to Halloween thing. It's a lot like a slasher movie. We've got this group of people. It's just like it feels a lot like a slasher movie. And he kind of feels like a slasher villain in it. He doesn't speak. He just menaces and like lurks and shit. It's pretty awesome. I kind of love it.
He doesn't speak at all?
Nope, not a fucking word.
Oh, wow.
He hiccups once.
He's got such a great voice. That's wild.
Yeah, I know it is. I don't think they knew what to do with him. And like there's all these different and that continues to be the case for the rest of the series. He does like 6 or 7 of these, and like he rarely speaks in most of them after this. And he kind of like says, I just did them because the crew needed work, so I just kept doing them, but the dialogue sucks so much that I wouldn't say it, is what he says. And then there's some people say like he didn't say it because we didn't write it. So I don't know what to believe, but he does not say much.
Well, to tie into that, I was gonna say there's some cool. He had a good look to him, so maybe they were trying to play off that because there were a lot of cool close-ups in this one of his like he's doing. Well, you got it down here, obviously.
Right.
You know, he's got an emotive face, so maybe they just. I mean, he's a wonderful actor. I don't know why they wouldn't want to. I believe him more so than them. You know, like
I don't think they knew how to write him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I just think they don't. I think that's why like Michael and Jason don't talk that much or you know what I mean. Like why we get slasher villains like that because it's hard to write them without making them sound corny.
Yeah.
Like what are you gonna do? And then plus they didn't have the source material because you'd already used up most of the Dracula the book. But yeah.
They could have tried to do that one line, you know, the classic Bill Lugosi, there are far more things worse than death, or whatever he said it. I would have liked to see that kind of like played on, but you know, there weren't really. It's interesting because they have more dialogue, but I feel like 31 had more iconic lines.
Yeah. Well, it's because, and I love that too, Robbie. The bloodshot eyes looks fucking insane. The you know how like in 31 they put Dracula, like Dracula goes to the play, Dracula shows up and talks to Van Helsing. I don't know how much of that is from the book. I feel like more of that is from the play. And this they like he doesn't, he's not going around chatting with people when he goes to London.
Right.
He's just in the shadows at that point. But Stu, my brother from another mother, dying to know what you thought. First time watch. What'd you think, man?
Loved it, man. Loved it. I thought it was incredible. Like you said, dude, I love the liberties they took with the story and mixing the plot around and the characters. You know, we already touched on it, but I loved, bringing Harker in, as like a little, like you said, a secret agent subterfuge and then killing him off early. I thought, dude, the sets on this movie were fucking insane, man. They were just so grand and epic and glorious. I love that shot when what's her name entices the kid into the garden. Is it Lucy? Is that Lucy? Yeah.
Everything with Lucy, I fucking love. Every scene with her in it.
It just looks gorgeous, man. It's so well shot. The practical effects, like you guys said, the bloodshot eyes, the way the bite marks looked, the scene at the end, like his whole disintegration. I thought
I love that so much.
I just thought they brought it. Like it felt so like that shot at the end just felt so, you knew it was practical effects and not all the way real, but it just looked so polished and well done.
Did that kind of like not shock you guys? I don't want to say it, but were you like, whoa, okay, was not expecting that, right?
Yeah, when we got the full on like shot, the continued shot of the face, like I was like, fuck yeah, dude, because they were just doing limbs at the first, you know what I mean? Yeah, once they gave us
so cool. I love I mean, now that we've touched on the ending, it's weird, like it's really slow leading up to that, really fucking slow for a minute. Like when they're draining Lucy's blood or whoever it is, Mina's blood, I think at that point.
Yes, it is.
And like Peter Cushing's really taking his time, like dicking around with shit. And then all of a sudden it's like, bam, we're going to Dracula and we're getting him. And it's like really There's like 3
Yeah.
minutes left of the movie, and they just squeeze it all in. Jumps up, pulls the curtains down, grabs the candlesticks. It's so epic. And that's the
And
first
it,
time anybody used a self-made cross. You know what I mean? It's the first time
oh
in,
yeah,
in film.
Yeah.
This is the first time that there'd ever been fangs in a vampire movie. It's the first time that there was ever blood in a vampire movie, especially the first color movie. Yeah, first
oh,
color movie with a vampire in it.
speaking
The
of the
fangs all
first,
look great. Dude.
the bite marks, how they kind of left like bumps. I've noticed that in a few other. I'm wondering if this is a movie that established that, because I noticed that in like the first Blade movie when the doctor chick, the badass doctor chick gets bitten and she's like checking out her neck. There's always like these little bumps there, you know.
Mm.
Other movies just kind of have them as like
Holes.
yeah,
Right.
So I'm wondering if
And
this is the first movie to establish like they kind of look like mosquito bites in a
yeah,
or a little,
exactly.
you know.
Infected like mosquito bites.
Do
Yeah,
we
yeah.
see in the 19 I'm getting confused right now from watching these back to back. But like in this one, 1958, I know we see the cross get put on her head and it burns that mark, which I love that. It's crazy iconic. The scene like right before that where Peter Cushing just comes up and holds the cross out to her, she does
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
it's
just
so good.
everything with Lucy's so good, man. When she's like in the bedroom and she just opens up the door and she's like waiting for him and shit. But
Yeah, that's crazy when she's like begging the nurse to remove all the protections and stuff. That was a really great scene as well.
in
And dude, before we move
no,
on,
yeah,
and I lose my train of
no,
thought.
please,
I
please.
just want to say I thought Peter Cushing did an amazing job in this, man. I know everybody talks about Christopher Lee, and rightly so, but like that scene when he uncovers and finds his boy Harker in the casket, and he's like overtaken with emotion, and like
How good does Harker look too? I don't know why.
yeah,
He's just lay why does he look so cool with
it's
the
such a
fangs?
great shot. Yeah, it's such a great shot, man. But I really thought, like you said, they made it his movie, and he really had to carry like the effective weight of it. I thought for so much of it, and really did a great job being both cold, calculated, doing what he had to do, also being like emotionally receptive when he had to be. I just thought like I was just so impressed, and I really looking back on that guy's career, it's kind of crazy how he got typecast as a horror actor because I think like Lee, he was a true thespian and could have really done so many amazing things.
Well,
So
he did a lot of work with Hammer. Like right after this, him
yeah,
and Cushing did the Hound of Baskerville, big Sherlock Holmes. It's like one of the most celebrated
that's a great one.
versions of the most celebrated Sherlock Holmes.
And he did what Van Helsing? How many times did he play Van Helsing? Like 5, 6 times?
I'm not sure. I know after this he did Brides of Dracula, and then with Christopher Lee later on he did Dracula AD 1972, which has let's get like a 20% on Rotten Tomato, but I love it. They bring Dracula to the future to 1972. He's in. How the fuck is he in that? He is in it somehow. Peter Cushing is,
That sounds
and then
dope.
he does Satanic Rites of Dracula. Some of the names of these are the shit.
I know, right?
Dracula, Prince of Darkness, Taste the Blood of Dracula
Oh,
is one of them. It's like so fucking dope. I love Robbie saying, I had to point this out. This really threw me off, especially the first time, that I've grown to love it. Where he's like, I am Dracula and welcome to my house. And it's like the camera, he's like, I am Dracula and welcome to my house. You know what I mean? He's like right up in the fucking grill. But I love it. I've grown to really like it. Because what are you gonna do? I am Dracula. You gotta do it your own way.
Yeah, it's very polished English gentleman.
Holy shit. Robbie says he played
Damn.
Van Helsing 9 times.
That's
So,
wild.
yeah, he was doing it in movies with and without Christopher Lee then, for sure.
Yeah, I'm just saying that dude had so much more in him acting wise
Was-
than playing Van Helsing 9 times.
Was
Like
this time he played Van Helsing?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think he's I prefer him over Christopher Lee. Not, they're playing two different roles, but I appreciate what he does more than Christopher Lee any day of the week. I think he's a better actor. He's more well-rounded, and he's just both of them have those faces. But Tarkin, Peter Cushing, he's got this crazy iconic cheekbones and just the way he rolls his R's when he talks, like he's trying to be Bill Skarsgård and shit. Who the fuck you think you are? Like he rolls his R's when he talks in Star Wars too. I always thought that was so cool.
Is this the first movie that did the dramatic like pull down the curtain and expose him, hit him with the daylight like with scene? Was that
as far as
that was so well done and choreographed? I just loved like jumping on the table and running, and that was just great.
It's my favorite part of the movie. I've really, really grown to like love the shit out of this movie because there's so many moments. Like when I made the intro for Fang Fest, I wanted to take so many visual moments from Horror of Dracula, and I didn't even realize how much I liked it until I was doing that. And I'm like, I don't know, there's like visually, it really is incredible. Like when
Yeah.
you see when they kill, when they show the Dracula's woman at the beginning when she gets killed, and all of a sudden she's an old lady. Something about that that's really
Oh
really
yeah.
cool. Oh, and then like my favorite bit of the movie, two moments right there, is when the sun comes up and it's on Christopher Lee's face, and he just does this slow, kind of awkward, but like slow smile to show his fangs, and then you see the sun setting outside at the same time, and then right after that, Van Helsing's downstairs and he's looking upstairs out this door, and you see the shadow where there's like fuck would you call it? There's like a railing, so there's all these lines like in a shadow,
Oh
and then
yeah,
you
and they
see all the
go.
lines
Yeah.
disappear, and it's like it's Dracula coming. I thought that
Yeah.
was like so fucking cool. I
Yeah,
love
there's a few times in this movie where Lee showed up and the way they framed it made me think of Eggers' Nosferatu with the
Yes,
shadow and the way he looked, just tall and imposing, and yeah.
hell yeah. Robbie also saying he is also Dr.
Stupid.
Frankenstein and almost all hanger. Yes, dude. Well, that's what I was gonna say, man. Before this movie, they did Curse of Frankenstein, where Van Helsing, as Robbie said, is Frankenstein, and Christopher Lee is Frankenstein's monster. Very cool.
Ah,
And that was a big hit. And as soon as that came out, they're like, "We're doing Dracula." Hell yeah,
this is
Christina Payne, what up?
Christina, what up?
Appreciate you. Reminding
This is
everyone to slash
so
that thumbs up button. Really appreciate that, Christina. Hit that like button. I never say
pop up
that, but I should.
pop-up video with Robbie's fun facts tonight.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate it. And yeah, Robbie, if you want to just hang out in the chat next week for Martin, that's fine. It's up to you either way. Just as long as you're there.
And he saw us doing it. He's like, "I want to get in the chat and tell those fuckers what time it is."
I wanted to mention just a couple things that they didn't do. There's no, because you got it's a big fucking book. Well, it's only a 400-page book, but it's a jam-packed book with a lot of stuff in it. So they had to cut a lot of things. There's no Demeter. I could have used the Demeter trip. Like, you know what I mean? Get a kill scene on the boat. The boats are cool. I don't know. Dracula on a boat. It's always good fun. I could have
Why
used
not-
that. What's that?
I'm sorry. Now I was gonna say, how many films like stray away from that scene? Because it's like even Nosferatu, the
Right.
newest one, you could easily, Eggers could have easily had a small little.
Well, even 31 didn't do much with it. I liked the scenes in 31. That's one particular when they show Bela Lugosi like standing out there. First of all, he's wearing all black under his cape. I think that looks really cool.
Striking.
And like the restoration that they did on the movie is fucking crazy. I don't know how good the copies are that you guys watch, but I hope they were as good as the Blu-ray that I watched on, because it's how good the movie looks, and it's almost 100 years old. Is crazy. And they restored the Spanish version too, which is really cool. They both look incredible. But no Demeter trip, no blood scene, which is something I always kind of look forward to. It's kind of a big ass deal. Like there's no Jonathan Harker cutting himself and then Christopher Lee noticing it and being all crazy about it. And I was like, why? Like, I wonder why they didn't do that. But they they wanted to make it short, but they just gave us that. Like they went really all out on the scene where Christopher Lee comes in and sees Harker with his woman trying to take him. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but I feel like they're just like, we're just going to wait and go full animalistic Dracula in that scene. And then we don't see him again until Harker's killing his old lady. And then at the end, I guess. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention is no xenophobic themes. So this is really interesting to me. Usually Dracula's a foreigner from a foreign land, and he's coming to London. He's going to spread disease. He's going to take our women. You know what I mean? So it's this whole, there is this, and originally, when the book was written in 1987, Europe was going through this huge mass migration thing where migration was a big fucking topic, just like right now. And so there was a lot of fear of people coming in from foreign lands to take our women, and they're going to bring their filthy ways through Europe. And I feel like my theory is that in 1958, they were so close to World War II that they didn't want to touch it. They're like, we've had a lot of issues with xenophobia. You know what I mean? UK's even like that right now. They're like, we better not fucking say anything. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. And I really feel like that's what was going on then. But it's interesting that they cut it out because he's English and he goes to England.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like maybe it's because I don't know how that would really change it, but this one is more revenge. Like I'm
Hmm.
thinking he didn't react to the blood is because he's more composed. Like maybe he knew that they were trying to get I don't know. Maybe he knew
Oh
people were
yeah,
out for him, so he had to keep himself more composed and at the ready. Um, I don't know. I was looking forward to a scene like that,
yeah. I
but
wish there was that scene, but I get why there's not. Robbie saying
yeah,
just watch Eggers Nosferatu on Sunday. Loved it so much. Defoe, best Van Helsing ever. Where would you put it, Robbie? Robbie, what's your favorite adaptation of Dracula? Is it
Untie this girl.
Nosferatu?
Defoe was a good mixture of like the old dude from Lugosi's one, the 31, and uh, Peter, what is his name?
Cushing. Dude, I don't
Cushing.
know why I love Peter Cushing so much, but until this week, I always have the hardest time thinking of this
He
guy's
called him
fucking name.
Sellers.
I always want to call him Tarkin, and that throws me off. And then I want to call him Van Helsing, and that throws me off. The man's name is Peter Cushing. But really, though, he's just a treasure, man. I love like seeing these movies just for him. Christina's still saying she is not a bot. She promises. Prove it. Prove it. All right. Did you guys want to touch on anything else before we rate this bad boy? I'm trying to look over my notes. I feel like we've hit everything. The music is banging. The ending is banging. Lucy is awesome. Peter Cushing is awesome. Christopher Lee is a fucking animal. I
I
think we
do
hit
want to spot
everything.
because you brought it up earlier that like because it caught me off guard. But I've had felt like the last 20 or so minutes of the movie kind of really kicked up into overdrive. I was like, oh shit, it's like you
Yeah.
got tossing each other around, fighting. It's like this whole thing, and I couldn't help but feel it's like we got to do the opposite of the 31 ending because that shit was
Right.
so climatic. It's not even funny. I'm like,
Right.
he catches him sleeping, bro. I mean, sometimes you get caught with your pants down. That was an
You're
instance, but
oh, oh. Like off screen. Oh. I couldn't believe it. I was like, no. I must have missed something. It says a lot, like 1931. That's what they could get away with. You know, it's funny with this movie. I'm a piece of shit, but I was like, this movie was shocking when it came out. That's what they say. You know what I mean? I don't know how shocking, but they do say like it was like it's a pretty scary movie at the time.
Are you talking
So
about 58 or 31?
50, well, both of them actually, but I'm
Okay.
talking about 58. And but what I did is I let my 2-year-old watch this with me for a good part, and I'm just like, I think a modern day toddler has probably about a pretty good comparison to an adult in 1958. And she was a little bit scared of this movie. She was like, "What the fuck?" Like when Christopher Lee comes out all crazy, I ended up covering up her eyes, and then when he came out again, she covered up her own eyes. I was like, "Oh no!" But she reacted. I'll just say that.
I love that line. A modern day toddler is equivalent
it's about
to
the
an
same
adult.
level.
Don't you think so? Like it was shocking. It's like, what, really? It's hard to like don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like as far as like intelligence and things like that. I think they were just as intelligent as we even like ancient people were. But as far as like what they could handle in pop
Horror
culture,
sensibilities, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
we're desensitized. My
Yeah.
daughter, my 2-year-old is already slightly desensitized. She comes in my room. I've got crazy shit. Sometimes my wife likes to put this fucking mask on.
Oh
It's
Lord.
it's fucking so scary. I'm like, really? She's like, she'll be fine. I'm like, you kidding?
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
all right, let's rate this bitch and get up out of here. Horde of Dracula, 1958, first watch. By the way, Robbie said his favorite is Todd Browning's. I respect that. I respect that. I don't fucking believe it, but I respect it. But what are you rating? Horror of Dracula, 1958, Link.
Um, I think this one is a little bit more punchy. It was a little bit. It wasn't too much. It was only like 2 minutes longer, or so, but it's not like it ran longer. I think the last 20 minutes really made up for it for me. Where I was like, okay, all right, hunting this bastard down finally. Because it was whole back and forth. But I'll give this one a 4. I thought not as iconic as It's first time watch. I'm good, but it's not taken away from the iconicism of
Mm-hmm.
Bela Lugosi's. But in terms of entertainment, I think this one's a bit more punchy. It's got more going on with the script. The characters aren't as forgotten about. Like the whole what's the dude's name at the beginning? Like, that
Harker or
yeah,
Renfield in 31,
yeah,
Harker in this one,
to
yeah.
mesh. But there's a reason for him to not be in half of the movie at a certain point because he's killed off. So, um, and Peter Cushing, just like we said it throughout the stream, he's a gem. Just talk about commanding presence. Bela Lugosi was the man, but so was Peter Cushing because he certainly had presence as Van Helsing. So I'm going to give this one a 4. I like what they did with it. Like I said earlier, I like the whole vibrant, vivid color palette they were going for. The greens and the blues, and like you were saying earlier, the crayon red blood. But yeah, 4 out of 5.
Hell yeah, man. Robbie saying the shot in the crypt where the camera is moving up to Dracula's face, perfection from Todd Browning. Funny enough, they say, oh,
what movie is this?
he's talking about 1931. He's talking about the beginning.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The first time that we really see Bela Lugosi. What is his name? Carl Freund was a cinematographer. Don't quote me. Quote Robbie. Carl Freund was a cinematographer for 1931, and this is kind of like a Poltergeist situation where it seems like he really directed the movie. Like all the actors, if they're asked like who told you what to do, they're like, who was Todd Browning again? They're like, I talked to Carl Freund. I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they really say that Browning didn't direct it. The actors
did Browning do Frankenstein? Did he go on to do the other? No.
Oh, no, that was James Whale.
Okay.
Who did most of the best stuff for Universal? Well, I mean,
what else did Todd Browning did Browning have any other films after this?
He did, but I don't know. Them. I think he might have done Freaks in 1932, which is a kind of a big deal. I hear people talk about it. Robbie says, "Yep, Carl Freund, director of The Mummy." Okay, cool.
Okay.
Which a lot of people say like The Mummy is really okay. Do you? That's I want to knock all these out with you guys eventually. We won't drown you guys.
I did that on PCP Movie Night.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, speaking of, I wanted to ask you, and then you can rate the thing after that.
Excuse me.
Curse of the Werewolf. I think you did that 1961. You did that during Horror Fest on Pop Culture Philosophers. What up, Rogue Collecting? Appreciate you popping in, my brother from another. What did you think of that? And like, how does it compare with this one for you?
I thought it was solid, but this one is like the way
a lot better.
This one's a lot
better, you did it too, Link? Okay.
Yeah. This one is like, head and shoulders above that one to me.
Interesting.
You can feel the budget in the werewolf one.
That's a good point, dude. This one feels very like they didn't spare any expense.
It does feel lush. Oh, I'm so glad I thought of this, man. The fucking outfits. We need to bring back the quarter capes. This over the shoulder shit. Like, why don't we you know what I mean? They were doing that in 1930. They were still doing it in 1958. Where did we lose that, man?
You know what vibes we have Helsing was giving me? He was giving me like Matrix Reloaded Neo vibes.
yes. That's awesome. He could, dude. If he had the Neo glasses, he could look cool.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. All right. I didn't. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, what's your score, Stu?
I'm gonna go 4.5. Man, this one was damn near perfect for me. I loved it. I thought it was engaging from the start. I loved, taking liberties with Bram Stoker's Dracula is a bold move to make, but this movie pulled it off very well. And superb roles from Cushing and Lee, and amazing sets, amazing cinematography, practical effects. 4.5. Amazing soundtrack as well. 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, man.
Robbie says he likes Curse of the Werewolf just a smidge more. I gotta watch it. It's got Oliver Reed in it. I definitely need to see it. I'm with you, Rogue. Let's bring back capes. Make capes great again. For fuck's sake. Come on now. I'm giving this thing a 5. I don't know. I was about to say I know it doesn't deserve it, but maybe it does, dude.
Yeah.
There's something about rewatching these movies and like having expectations. Like Robbie pointed out earlier, when he's like, I am Dracula and I welcome to your house. First time I saw it, I'm like, that's not how you say that line. Try it again. Take 2. You know what I mean? But then when you see it again, it's like, no, it's cool. You just accept these things. And the more Dracula movies that I watch, the more I appreciate what they didn't do and then what they did do and these subtle changes that they made. And I really think like structurally, This one is like this might be my favorite Dracula adaptation. I might like this more than I'm giving it a higher score than I gave Nosferatu because it's tighter. You know what I mean? It's way shorter, but I mean, don't get me wrong. There's things that Nosferatu does that is way, way, way better. But there's like no fat on this. There's nothing about it that I don't like, and I just adore it, and I could just live in it forever. Like as soon as I watched it, I'm like, oh, I wanted to put on the next one.